to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running.
Okay, welcome back to the RunRX podcast. I wanted to bring this up. I brought this up to Valerie about a week or so ago, and we added it to this list here. I had a real epiphany the other morning. I have Dalmatians. If you follow us at all, I have 4 Dalmatians. And so white hair gets everywhere. So before I go to work out with Valerie, I'll put on my black little capris, and then I'll cover myself with sweatpants so I can sit with my dogs and not show up at the gym covered in white hair. Which anybody that has dogs, you understand that hair goes everywhere. So I was in the middle of my bedroom, and I grabbed the sweatpants, and I went to put them on nothing was around me. So I bent over to put them on, and I almost fell over. My head was down to my toes, and I was like, well, I can't get this. And so I had to go into the bathroom, and I had to put one hand on the counter, and I couldn't use both hands. So I had to literally put one hand on the counter, lift one foot up, bend over, get one. Now, I could have sat on the toilet too, but I was really, I became very curious. Like, I can't even balance and put on a pair of sweatpants. That's really important, guys, because what it told me was, how do I expect to be able to hold pose and hold my body upright with my ears over my shoulders, over my hips, and hold that if I can't even balance on one foot to put on a pair of sweatpants? Am I overthinking it, or did I just blow my mind?
Well, it's funny because she told me that story. So then every day since, I've been challenging myself to see how high I can hold my pants to put them on.
But am I right that that's the kind of
it's a good logic, and it's a good challenge. And by the way, it's one of those things, it could definitely set your tone for the day.
Yeah.
Like if today I have to hold on to the counter to put my pants on, might not be my top long distance day.
Right.
But also, guys, this is really great. So to be fair, while you're running, you're not also trying to put on your pants. Yeah. So, to keep in mind that's a little bit, but it's a fun way to test yourself, right? And by the way, who has not known someone or done it themselves? They've had a great run. Then they go to take off their pants or shoes or their jog bra, and they're like, I pulled my back, taking my jog bra.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've almost killed myself.
So we start with balance, because she's right. I mean, when you're running, you think about it. In running, you only have one foot on the ground. Now, we want to be on the ground for 1/10 of a second, that's ideal for all of us. So just to think about, in that moment, I'm balanced on the ground. So the way we develop our ability to do that, of course, is practicing balance. And it's the same thing. We need balance for life, to put on our pants, to get in and out of the car, to, all the stuff that, and by the way, Caroline and I are both, now I can say this, 50 and up.
Yeah.
So we are definitely we know now what it feels like when older people used to say, well, you just wait till you're my age.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm here, and now I'm the one that gets to say these things. One of the things that I love about our practice is that when you are standing in balance, think of all the strength that's happening to your foot, to your ankle, to your hip, to your whole body. And you're going to have to balance the rest of your life. So it's going to help you with walking, with everything else. But it is a lot of fun when she said that. I promise we don't challenge you to put on your pants.
No.
Anything like that. But it is always an eye-opener for people to realize that they have not actually been working on their balance.
Right. And that's what it was for me, is I'd been working, I had the stand-up desk during the pandemic, and I had been working really hard on holding pose, and even trying to get to the point where I could hold pose closing my eyes. Can't do that very long. But I was really trying to work on holding my core. I'd been working out with you. And so to suddenly kind of be thrust into this thing of, I can't even put on my own pants, it kind of makes you, so what are some other kinds of strength? I know part of our RunRX method is skills, strength, and self-care. So and we talked about this before as the triangle, where strength and self-care are the basis on which we can do the skill, right? They're the foundation.
Right.
So what are some, without getting into like, I need to go lift weights or...
Now that's important. And that's a great thing that she just said that. We actually do not integrate anything but body weight into our program for really the whole program. Because strength for us, strength for running, is being able to support your own body weight.
Right.
So we start with body weight. That being said, I recommend to people, and she knows this, to use a broomstick or a PVC pipe that's weightless, but it will help you to like hold balance and other things like that. But to be fair, guys, the reality is it's just starting with just you and your body weight.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask you. And so it's really just our body weight. And it's things like dynamic planks that you show us.
I mean, I have we do. We have, definitely we have, and this is funny because Caroline likes to say core, which a lot of people do. And honestly, I to be fair, it makes sense. I want you guys to think of your core as your hips too. Your glute is part of your core.
Yeah.
Your hips are part of your core. Your shoulders and neck are part of your core. So it's like, think of an old-timey bathing suit.
Yeah.
That's your core.
Yeah.
And so
it's your whole torso.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that is 68% of your body weight from your hips up. So just to think that you are literally on your little foot holding your body weight.
Guys, think about that. Look at, I mean, like, I've got a nice, like, 8.5, 9 foot, right?
Yeah, I don't have little feet either.
Right. And I'm a sort of a hippie woman. Yeah. I look a little bit like The Incredibles, right? Where she's more hip and a little smaller on top, right? And we've talked about this. I've got some extra poundage on it. Now, I've lost 20 pounds through basically watching what I eat.
It's the only way to lose weight.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this, guys. I'm not doing anything fad crazy or anything like that. There's a great Z-Dog just did this fantastic explanation on the difference between fasting and calorie restriction and things like that. It was a really good little thing. I'll put it in the comments below. But the point is that I lost the weight by not doing anything crazy. I lost the weight by gaining awareness of what and how and when I was eating. Was I eat? And so it's really incredible to me how that made me more aware of how I was working, made me more aware of how I was moving, how I was sitting, how I was working out. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you are mindlessly running, if you are mindlessly drilling, if you are mindlessly doing your hip bridges, let's say you're following Valerie's 30-day reboot on YouTube, and you go, oh, she's doing a plank, and you just do that while you're talking on the phone or whatever the case may be. You're flipping through Instagram, and you're not concentrating on the movement, on what you're trying to be feeling. It's not going to work, guys. How you do one thing is how you do everything, and I'm going to probably start making that a mantra or something, because truly, so when she does these very simple movements, they're not, hip openers are not super complicated. But when I do them with intention and with perception of what I'm trying to do, which is, increase the range of mobility in my hips, it feels fantastic. If I just mindlessly whip my hips around, though, it doesn't feel good. So what other things, I know we have the warm up and cool down in the 30-day reboot where we do glute bridges.
I was going to say, I mean, that's the challenge too. It's the consistency of the correct movement that brings about the success. And so, for example, like I've been using the same warm up for almost 20 years. Glute bridges, straight leg hip lifts, seated hip openers, toe touches. It's not about the actual exercise. It's like you said, it's the intent behind it. So we are about to go running. So it makes a lot of sense to get range of motion in our hips, in our ankles, through the joints, through the whole body, to where I'm like, okay, so now I'm feeling a little bit warmed up. Remember, we're preparing to perform. Like we're preparing for a movement. So if I'm preparing to go running, I want my feet prepared, my hips prepared, my mind prepared. So we go through this preparation for your run, and yeah, it's all body weight. And then after your run, we even give you a strength recovery Again, you're not going to pick up some dumbbells. It's body weight to put the elasticity back in your hips. And then, by the way, I love weightlifting. I'm a huge weightlifter. It's my favorite thing. It's my hobby, I guess, if you will. So when people stay with us for a while, we're absolutely happy to have you add more weight and more load, but it's just like your mileage. Let's not add mileage to your run until you're running.
Right.
Then sky's the limit. Go run as far as you want. We're happy to get you there. Same with the strength training. First, let me see that your hips themselves can stabilize holding your body weight. Many people skip the hip-specific exercises. We have so many hip stability exercises, and they're little, and they're not fancy, and they work. They just really do. And they work for your running. And we have a lot of elasticity drills that all work together. So again, when we tell our members this all the time, it's not the one drill, it's not the one exercise, it's the combination of the consistency.
Right. And that's what that 30-day reboot, guys, if you're not in the membership, if you're not sold on this idea yet, go through the 30-day reboot. And I really challenge you to just do one a day, okay? If you've done it before and you go, well, I did it, so fine, do more than one a day. You could actually do all 30 days. It would take it's about an hour if you did every single workout in a day. I wouldn't do it every day. I'd probably do it every other day. But we add in the skill, the strength, and the self-care all in there because it builds off of each other. And you'll see that. You'll see the first week, maybe you're just doing ball foot hops, but the second week, you're taking it into a pony drill. And the third week, maybe you're taking it into a skip or a hopscotch. So with each iteration of that week's drills, you're taking it to the next step. But at its core, it's still just ball of foot hops, guys.
Right.
Right? It's still maybe just holding plank, or it's still some sort of a drill for pulling. And this is the other thing too, is if you go through it, I really find it powerful, is you never, ever do a high knee. Ever. Never do a high knee. You'll never do a kickback. Even when she's doing mountain climbers. Mountain climbers, it's funny. Mountain climbers in Arizona were what we called JCs here in Texas. Everybody has their own kind of iteration of a workout, I think. But mountain climbers are basically where you're standing in plank and you start to basically run up, right? You bring your knee up to your chest. But if you do that correctly, do it as a pull. It should not be a push off of your back foot. So really just take a look at that 30-day, work on it with intention, and you're going to find some really powerful things here. So other than working on the 30-day, Val, what else could they do to possibly challenge themselves in putting on their sweatpants without help? Would it be planks? Would it be...
Well, no, it would be something standing because, again, running is a standing exercise.
Yeah.
So just honestly stand on one leg.
Just stand on one leg and try to get...
I mean, obviously, we would prefer you try to stand in the running pose, but, seriously, just try it. Just stand on... When's the last time you just stood on one leg and saw how long you could hold it? You know? And if you've got kids, challenge your kids to do it. I mean, that's the fun part. And then once you can stand on one leg, then we do challenge you. Stand on one leg and throw a ball. Stand on one leg and close your eyes. I mean, it's like, this is the fun of a couple of things. One, body weight, but also running. Like, once you have a skill and once you have a to-do, I can only improve. That's the beautiful part. Maybe, I tell people, like, maybe the first time you stand on your leg, it's like for 10 seconds. And a lot of people, by the way, they come in to the program, and don't get me wrong, this isn't anything about your fitness, to keep this in mind. Because people come in, they run marathons, they're, all kinds of fitness. They do strength training, and they cannot stand in pose and balance on one leg for a minute. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So it's, again, what do we believe? Like, that's when we start to tell people, just remember that we are going to only improve your overall fitness, your overall cardiovascular ability, your overall everything by working on that foundation.
Okay. Great, guys. We will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.